Tony here again from Fit Body Bootcamp. Welcome to video number 3 in our 3-part video series. I hope you enjoyed video 1 and 2. If you haven't already, check those out. We dropped some awesome knowledge bombs in there for you to take away and start implementing into your daily routine to start changing your body, changing your life and your mindset for the good. So go and have a look at those first, then come back to me for video number 3. Today I'm going to be talking to you about your weekly timetable and how you can start carving out time to fit in workouts, to fit in healthy eating, and finally start changing your world, your shape, that reflection in the mirror for better, so you can be healthier, happier, more confident and just more satisfied in your own skin. Okay, does that sound cool? Awesome, so make sure you've got that pen and paper. I want you to take these notes. Let's get started in 3, 2 and 1. Awesome. Now time can be the biggest obstacle that you can come up against nowadays. Life can be so busy, whether you're a mum, whether you're working, whether you're doing both, whether you're a dad as well. There's so many different things that take up our time. Life is busier now than it's ever been. And often working out and eating healthily fall to the bottom of all of our lists of priorities. Now, I'm here to tell you, if you cannot find time to work out and start eating healthily, then at some point you are going to have to find time to be ill, to be out of shape, to feel underconfident and to feel slower in general. When you're not in top shape, when you're not feeling good about yourself, everything slows down because you're hesitant to do things. You don't feel confident. I mean, how do you feel at the moment? Do you stand in front of the mirror and do you think, God, how have I gotten into this situation? Do you go to work and do you feel less assertive? Do you feel that you don't maybe want to take on as much because you don't feel great and actually your energy levels are fantastic and you just wish that things were different? Do you, at the weekend, rather than going out, do you wish that you could kind of stay in and just not worry about getting dressed up? Because when you put on those tighter dresses or those more, those snug fitting clothes to go out in, they make you feel more self-conscious. And actually when you're out with everybody, rather than enjoying spending time with your friends or your family or your loved ones, you're feeling more uncomfortable in your own clothes and more worried about how you look, and that just takes all the enjoyment out of the situation. Or if your friends want to go clothes shopping perhaps, you don't want to go because you go in the changing rooms and you put on those jeans that you wish you could fit into, they don't fit you properly and you just want to go home. Does that all sound about right? Well, if you don't find the time to work out and start making a change now, then you're going to have to find time to do more of that. So let's start looking at where we can start carving time out and start putting these things in. Okay? So let me ask you a question. When was the last time that you had a deadline that you had to hit? So whether it be a report at work or university, or whether it be, you had to go and pick your kids up, there was nobody else to pick them up and you had to be there no matter what happened. Okay? You found the time to it, whether you got up earlier and got a few things out of the way earlier in the day, or maybe you just moved a few things that were low priority and made sure that you get there on time. You found a way to get that done. Perhaps with the study, perhaps with the report, that you stayed up a little bit later, perhaps you pulled an all-nighter, but no matter what you had to do, you got it done. And the difference was your why, okay? Why did you have to do that? Because it was a must, okay? Rather than being, I should do that report, I should go and pick the kids up, the answer then became, I must do this, I have to do it. And that is what needs to happen when it comes to your exercise and your health, okay, your diet. Rather than it being, I should eat healthily, I should work out, we need to flip the switch, we need to change that to a must. I must work out and I must eat healthily. Can you hear how much more powerful that is? Okay? Often people ask, how does that person find the time to fit all of this in? Okay, the question isn't necessarily how, but why do they find the time? And when you get to the bottom of your why, that's when you start to flip that should into a must. Okay, so ask yourself now the question, why? Why do you want to change your shape? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to get fitter? Okay, write those down on that piece of paper. Why do you want to do this? When you have a better grasp of your why, a better understanding, all of a sudden you can change that should into a must. Because when you know why you're doing it, so say for example, diabetes runs in your family. That is why. One of the reasons you're starting to get frightened that perhaps that's not far away for you either. Okay? Once you understand that and you recognise it, so write that down and underline it if that's something to do, if maybe it's a health thing for you as well. Write that down and then start to understand how that connects in with your must. That turns your workout into a must rather than a should workout. Now, it's easy to say all of that, and I know maybe you know that that really should be done, okay, but changing it to a must is quite a difficult task. Okay, so let's have a look at making that must an easier thing to achieve. Okay, so I want you to think about, in fact, with your piece of paper, I want you to write out what your daily routine is at the moment, or perhaps open up your diary. Okay, so your diary is going to be your most critical tool here. If you don't use a diary, then you need to get one, because it's so easy to lose track of what you're doing and actually lose track of how much time you're taking up with things that don't need to take up as much time as you realise, and you're going to miss things. Okay, so open your diary or just quickly sketch yourself out a little grid for your week so far at the moment, and you're going to start writing up, you know, what you're going to do, and what time are you waking up, what time are you going to work, what time are you finishing work. Okay, then when you finish work, what sort of time do you have tea? Do you pick the kids up? Write all your musts, your current musts, onto that piece of paper, because we all have them already, it just might not currently involve working out or eating properly. Okay, so once you've got your musts lined up in front of you, that is when you can start seeing the gaps. Okay, and the whole trick is to start expanding those gaps. So if you finish work and then you have to pick the kids up at X time, what's that gap between those two musts? Okay, or if you wake up in the morning and then you go to work, what's the gap between that? Okay, can you expand that in any way? Can you perhaps get up earlier? But when it comes to sleep, I don't believe that you should be cutting down the amount of sleep that you're having. Most of us don't sleep enough as it is. But what maybe you could do to open up that gap in the morning is to go to bed the night before a little bit earlier. Does that make sense? So you need to start looking at ways that you can open up gaps. Perhaps if you're looking at the time that you finish work, perhaps you notice in your diary that your boss or your colleague is booking you in for meetings every single night, okay? Or they're doing it last minute, which can be even worse. You need to look at how you can expand that gap and maybe talk to them and explain to them that it's important that you go and exercise because it is a must for you. Tell them that if you don't, then you're going to be unhealthy, you're not going to be focused, and you're actually not going to be as productive. You need to talk to them and start negotiating, finding ways of wiggling it in space. Now you'll realise from the last two videos that that space doesn't need to be a massive one. Okay, 30 minutes is all you need for your workout maximum. Okay, so if you can just wiggle in, start expanding those gaps, whether it be at lunchtime perhaps, if you can finish a little bit earlier, or if you can find a faster way of eating rather than spending your time maybe sat at your desk and then chatting with your colleagues, perhaps if you can have your healthy meal prepared, okay, you eat your meal and then you can work out, or you can work out and then eat your meal. You can make the most of that lunchtime, but it's about chopping away those little bits that don't need to be done and expanding those gaps. So the best thing to do is sketch out your week now and start squeezing in those times. And remember, they don't have to be big slots, 30 minutes. When it comes to your eating, your food preparation, again, this doesn't have to be huge, okay? If you pre-prepare your food, that instantly opens up those gaps between your musts throughout the day, okay? So if you prepare your food the night before, find yourself a little slot for yourself to do that, then it means that the following day, your time isn't spent searching for something to eat or messing around, but it also means that what you are eating is healthy, and that is still moving you towards your goals. When it comes to food prep, perhaps look at batch preparing, so maybe do 2 or 3 days at a time. That way, again, you're opening up gaps, you're moving things around, and it's just about being smart. And when you've got that map out in front of you, that diary, that is when you start to see opportunities. And I want you to pen those in. As soon as you recognise them, get a different colour pen to the one that you usually use, and start booking yourselves out to commit yourself to that must, because we've got to take away those shoulds now. This is a must for you, because you can no longer stand in front of that mirror, looking at your tummy, putting on those clothes and thinking, no, I'm just not going to go out. I don't want you to feel underconfident, frustrated, depressed, angry and annoyed with yourself anymore. We need to look at that timetable, we need to start opening up those gaps and fitting those things in. Because what's going to happen if you don't? Well, we've already briefly covered it, but let's think about this. In a year's time, if you don't find that little bit of time, you're going to start, you maybe put on another stone, you know, that stone that you really didn't want to. You're going to feel more out of shape. Perhaps you would have crept up a couple more dress sizes. Okay, so all because you couldn't just move these things around and squeeze it in. Okay, think about your motivations, think about your whys, think about why you need to get this done, so write those down first, and then taking those whys, I want you to start planning where you're going to start squeezing these things in. Because if you really, really had to do it, If somebody held a gun to your head and said the trigger will be pulled in 24 hours if you don't find a way to do this, I guarantee you would find a way. So you know you can do it, there is a way, and the question is why? Why are you going to do it? Turn those shoulds into a must. Now, we have a lot of people, you're not alone with this, we have a lot of people coming to boot camp, and it's the similar sort of strategy that we use with them. They come into boot camp and their number one objection, we hear it all the time, is time. They just do not have enough time. Okay, we give them shorter 30-minute workouts that mean that they don't have to spend an hour, 2 hours in the gym messing around. They come in, they work out, they go out again. Then we give them strategies, tips and advice, we go through their diaries with them, we start finding those gaps, we start digging out those whys, we start turning things into musts, and we start finding ways that they can finally start fitting in time for themselves to start changing things for the better. Now, if you would like that same sort of help, advice and guidance, if you would like to talk to one of us about breaking down your current timetable and creating a step-by-step plan in your diary of how you're finally going to turn this all around, then please click on that link below, book in your fat loss consultation course. I want to talk to you and I want to start changing this for you for life. Okay, so let's start making these decisions. Click on that button now. Let's have a talk about what you're currently doing. Book yourself in, and remember, we only have a limited number of spaces, so if you don't get in there quickly, this is the last video as well, we may not be able to get back to you straight away, so do try and get booked in as fast as you can, okay, so that I can help you with this. We can start getting you moving, changing, losing weight, feeling better in yourself, into those smaller dress sizes, and when you look in that mirror, I want there to be a smile on your face for good. Okay, so if you have any questions, any comments, write them in the Facebook, in the comment section down at the bottom there. Write them in and we will answer them as soon as we can, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.